Is the Google Pixel 7a worth buying in 2024? Well, in this video, we're gonna find out. What's going on, everyone? This is Kevin here, and this is the Pixel 7a. Now, the Pixel 7a was launched back in May of 2023, so this phone is getting pretty close to being a year old, so I want to make this video to kind of look back on it to see if it's still a worthy option. And you've probably noticed that there's so much competition out there, and especially at this kind of mid-range $500 price range, there are just so many different choices and even new devices coming out at that same price or even lower that are very comparable to the Pixel 7a. Now, Pixel's A series has been around since the Pixel 3a, which I've actually covered every Pixel A series device here in the channel, so definitely make sure to check out all of those videos. But this A series lineup has especially been successful because you're getting so much value here. You're basically getting a flagship smartphone here at the fraction of the price, while also not having to really deal with too many compromises. And especially when it comes to the various cameras on this phone, we're pretty much getting flagship quality images here. Another benefit with going with the Pixel A series and especially the 7a is that even though this is a mid-range device, you're getting also flagship level software support. So expect to get many major Android software updates into the future. In fact, this phone originally came with Android 13 and it got Android 14 very close to the launch of Android 14 officially. So that's kind of one of the major selling points with Pixel devices, is that since Google creates these phones and they're also behind Android, then you're getting pretty much the best Android experience here when it comes to timely updates. Now, while the affordable price of this device is one of its major selling points, unfortunately, this phone hasn't really seen too many price reductions since it was originally launched. Now, the original price tag of this device was $499, and if you go to the Google store right now, you'll literally see that this phone is still available for $499. Now, that might change based on the time that you're watching this video, but it is pretty surprising to see. I feel like typically with smartphones, when they're launched, they'll of course launch at the full price. Sometimes there's pre-order promotions and all that. But then as time goes on and the phone is less and less new and there's more competitive devices coming out in the same segment, then they'll then lower the price tag until the successor model comes out. Now, the good news though is that if you do want to save some money with the Pixel 7a, you can always buy the device used. I like to buy phones on eBay and Swappa. Typically, I've had a good experience there. Of course, you do have to work with good sellers that are reputable. But most likely then, if you go that route, you can get the Pixel 7a for the fraction of the price of buying one brand new. And I really think that's probably the best way to go at this point. I also noticed that unlike the Pixel 6a, which is available on quite a few carriers and especially prepaid carriers, I haven't actually seen the Pixel 7a being sold at any carriers. Now, maybe I'm missing one or two that are out there, but you don't see this phone, for example, at Straight Talk or TrackPhone, which the Pixel 6a is on those carriers right now, and it is enjoying some very generous discount. And then to add to matters, I'm not even sure if there's going to be a Pixel 8a. I've not heard any rumors at all. I am part of Team Pixel, but they don't share rumors or anything like that, of course. And I really have no idea if there's going to be one. I haven't really even seen too many rumors on Twitter, for example, either, so it is possible this phone could be the last one in the A series. And then to add to that as well, the regular Pixel 8 is actually really getting close to the Pixel 7a's territory here. There's really not much of a price difference between this device and the Pixel 8, and especially when the Pixel 8 gets various promotions and discounts. So compared to other options out there, it might not even make a whole lot of sense to get the Pixel 7a at all. Now, on a more positive note, the phone itself is actually very good. It's just that there's so many other great options out there, and even devices from Google's own Pixel series that pretty much are close to competing with this device when it comes to price. And then also, if you are considering getting this device used, you might also want to consider just going for a used Pixel 7 Pro. In fact, I recently sold mine on Swappa for like $350, so those are going really cheap if you want to buy one used. But to kind of refresh you on some of the highlights here with the Pixel 7a, this device features a very large 6.1-inch display. In fact, the display is OLED and does feature a 90 Hz refresh rate, so a bit better than the typical 60 Hz that we find with lower-end devices. Now, this display is 1080p. Now, the corners are still a little bit curved, but at the same time, they do look pretty boxy too. But yeah, there's a 1080p display, a PPI of 429, we're getting a 20:9 aspect ratio here, and we're getting an 81.8% screen-to-body ratio, so pretty small bezels all throughout. Now, the front-facing camera on the Pixel 7a is 13 megapixels, and this device comes with 128 gigabytes of storage, but with no microSD card expansion. And one of the cool innovations of the Pixel 7a is that this is actually the first A-series device from Pixel that supports wireless charging. So you can put this phone on a wireless charger and it will charge. Now this phone does feature both face unlock and then also an in-display fingerprint sensor, which is very nice and responsive and accurate, so that's great. And then on the back of the phone, we're getting a dual camera setup with a 64 megapixel main camera and a 13 megapixel ultra wide angle camera that can capture images at up to 120 degrees. Now overall these cameras are really good, like I said before. Now I have done a full review of this device here in the channel already, so definitely take a look at that video to see a variety of different photo and video samples from the device itself. But again, overall, I'm really impressed with the quality from all the various cameras on the phone. I do know though that the phone does use a combination of good quality camera hardware here, but then also AI to give you the best looking images possible. But here's how things look on the camera app. This is with the main rear camera right now. Then from there we can switch over to the ultra wide angle camera, and you can fit a lot more content into a single frame here. We can also head over to portrait mode and take those photos with nice blurred out backgrounds. You can also switch over to the camera here and record both standard videos and ultra wide videos. And then flipping over to the front facing camera, you can of course take selfie videos. There's also of course selfie photos as well, both for portrait mode and regular. And then there is an option here if you want to crop in slightly when taking a selfie, so that's another cool option as well. Then head over to video mode. You can swipe down here or swipe up to see your various options. So there's both regular 1080p and then also 4K. So that's with the front facing camera. And then flipping around here to the rear camera, you can see that there's also an option for 4K at 60 FPS. Now internally with the Pixel 7a, we're getting 8 gigabytes of RAM paired up with the Google Tensor G2 processor. So overall, that combination has been pretty good for me. The Tensor G2, of course, is pretty much a flagship processor. I believe they've kind of toned it down a little bit for the Pixel 7a compared to the Pixel 7 Pro. But still, it's a really good processor and very capable. Now, since updating this phone to Android 14, I did do a fresh Geekbench 6 benchmark test here, and here are the scores that I got from that test. So I got a single core score of 1435 and a multi-core score of 3543. So what I recommend doing is running this test on your current phone, then compare your scores to these scores to see how the two devices compare. And then with the Pixel 7a, we're getting a 4,385 milliamp hour internal battery, along with 18 watt fast charging. And then this device does feature NFC as well. So overall, we're getting a lot of great features here in this device. There's really not a whole lot it's lacking compared to a full flagship phone. So it's really not even much of a mid-ranger at this point. It's really more of a flagship light. Now, taking a look at the left side of the device, we just have the slot for the SIM card. On the right side, we have the power button, and then volume up and volume down. Up top here, we have the noise-canceling microphone. And then on the bottom of the device, we have the speaker, USB-C port for charging and data transfer, and the microphone. And then on the back of the phone, we have the Google logo, and then the camera module, and that's pretty much it. I'm also a big fan of this color. I think it looks really nice. And overall, I think Pixel does a good job kind of picking out all the various colors for their phones. But in conclusion, while I do feel like the Google Pixel 7a is an excellent device, and I think many people or most people will really like this phone, it is really hard to recommend if you are going to pay the full MSRP for it, which, like I said, that's pretty much what the phone is still being offered at if you do want to buy it brand new. Now, if you want to get this phone used and kind of pay that used market price, then I actually feel like this phone is still a good option and definitely worthwhile. But again, it really depends on what your other options are compared to this phone, but on its own, it definitely is a very worthy option in 2024, and it will continue to get quite a few Android software updates into the future. So definitely a good phone if this is the phone that you really want. But I hope you enjoyed this video on the Google Pixel 7a in 2024. This is Kevin here, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care and have a great rest of your day.